So, the first part of the episode, you introduced to Trina Braxton and her ex-husband Gabe. If you don't know who Trina Braxton is a younger sister of Grammy Award winning Toni Braxton, and they have a hit television show. What's the name of it? Family Values. I used to watch it all the time, but then I kind of noticed some things and I kind of pulled away from watching it, and some of those things was kind of brought up in the episode I'm reviewing. So, looking at my notes. Iyanla first tells Trina and Gabe, before they even start the process of dealing with the reason that they're there, she tells them, because you have a history of being on television and being awarded and basically praised for bad behavior, and you're used to being in the limelight, not just with Braxton Family Values, but also with just being a background singer and having your own careers, etc., etc. Iyanla was kind of weary of doing the taping and helping them because she felt she was unsure of if they would be able to go to those places that wouldn't be so easy to do. And so she wanted to give them a conversation like, look, we here, but let's get some things squared away. Let's get to understanding. I want to let you know how I'm feeling about this. I'm still willing to do this work for you, but I want to make sure you're in a mental state to really go there. And so I don't remember them having them respond to that, but I'm sure they said, yes, we're here. We'll go to all the levels we need to in order to get this healing. So the reason why Trina and Gabe came, their words, is to create boundaries within their relationship since their divorce. And they've been divorced for 2 years, but they still have marriage tendencies toward each other in terms of calling one another, telling them personal business about each other's significant others that they may be having, staying over at the other one's house. They revealed that they were still intimate with one another at some point during this post-divorce of 2 years. Just having tendencies of not knowing what boundaries to cross and not to cross. So they wanted Iyanla's help with creating those boundaries. And also, there was an issue that was going on with Gabe's stepson, Trina's younger son, Caleb, and they wanted help fixing that. So when Iyanla was speaking to them, she started the conversation off with who wants to go first. And Trina's responded, I always go first. I want you to go first, talking to Gabe. And I thought that was very telling of a possible issue in not only their marriage that led to the divorce, but in their relationships and dealings with one another now. Just for that to be the first thing out of her mouth, I always go first, you go first. It sounds like a statement of some bitterness, some unforgiveness, just some not letting go that's going on. So within, as I was saying, just helping them to realize what was going on, and unveiling some truths that they didn't want to talk about. When she got them alone and got them to admit some things, we found out that Gabe was indeed abused as a child and in their relationship, and he was miserable, and she had him to convey this information to Iyanla. And Trina, she didn't know that she was being abusive towards Gabe, and later had to admit that it was a learned behavior from her mother. I was so happy, and this is the part that I want to talk about. I was so happy that they discussed this and they got into the nitty-gritty of this, because I've noticed that on Braxton Family Values, that Evelyn carried bitterness like it was a robe of honor. And it's sad because she represents a lot of women and men that are Christians, or whatever. They have worked hard, have accomplishments underneath their belt, have gifts underneath their belt, and talents that they utilize, but can't seem to forgive those people who failed them. And I don't believe that happened when she was divorced from her husband. I believe that to some degree, even though I believe her parents did the best they could have, they failed her in some areas and not showing her how to let go. Maybe she never saw anyone in her immediate family forgive and let go. Because if you don't know the background, Evelyn's ex-husband, Braxton, which is the father to all of her children, had a 10-year plus affair with a woman within the church, I believe, that they attended. This woman was a friend of Evelyn. She had come to her home. She had been around her children. And when she found out, they did end up going to counseling, trying to resolve their issues. I remember this from Braxton Family Values, not on Iyanla, but the background of that. And she, even years, I'm talking 10 plus years after the divorce and it all coming out, almost in the 15 years afterwards, she was still hurt by the fact that he cried during the time they were in counseling when the counselor said he would have to end their relationship. And I'm not saying I don't get Evelyn's anger. It's anger. I don't see how anyone could go through that and not have some form of hatred, unforgiveness, and bitterness that they have to work through, because that would be my first response, regardless of what role I played in getting you or creating an environment that was so miserable for you that you felt that was your only option. Regardless of what that was, he didn't have to do that. And in him doing that, and in how Evelyn has responded to it, I believe has created a spiraling problem throughout their family. I don't know much about her son, Michael. I know he stays away. I don't know. I know the one that they tried to outcast. I don't know if they still try to outcast her that much. Tracy, she has a better relationship with her dad and understands things, and has talked with his now wife, because he ended up marrying the woman after they divorced. It's a sad situation. I would honestly, if I was in Evelyn's shoes, I would probably need a good 5 years to get myself all right. And I mean a solid 5 years, because they were together over 20 years of marriage, and 10 of those years he was cheating on his wife or something like that. And he had this affair while he was a preacher in their church, and he married this woman like literally quickly after their divorce. So in understanding I get why, I'm trying to say I get why she's upset, but I also understand from my own personal experiences and my own life experiences that I understand the importance of forgiveness. I understand the importance of doing the work to live beyond these types of issues, or issues that are damaging not only to you, but to those around you, and hurtful incidences, getting beyond those, not having to get over it, because you just can't get over that. You have to work through that. You have to work through the forgiving process, the letting the anger go to something like that. In my opinion, you can't get through it without the help of the Holy Ghost, because it would be impossible. It would be literally impossible. I would have to do some heavy praying, and some heavy depending and leaning on God to walk me through this and not leave. And I know he wouldn't leave me, but just because it's a big deal. And I think Evelyn has tried to work through that. I'm not gonna worry about the rest of it. I just really want to talk about this part. At the end, Trina realized that she had learned some stuff from her mama, and they set up some boundaries between her and Gabe. Iyanla allowed Gabe and her son to meet and talk, and he told her, your mama don't need doesn't have any reason to be in your relationship. You're old enough and you're an adult. You can have a relationship with your stepfather and learn about him, and she doesn't have to be in it. And she even told her don't be in it, because she says, you have a family pattern of being in everybody's business, which is so true. But I said all that to get to this point of Evelyn, and I really do hope and pray for the day that Evelyn can sit and talk to Braxton and her ex-husband and express to him her background, what she grew up around, what she experienced that made her who she was, not so she could not to put blame on anyone, but just to get an understanding of who she was. I hope that for the day she can sit amongst Braxton and they can remember the good times. She can walk in this forgiveness. She can express to him that she's forgiven him and she no longer holds any ill will toward him. I pray for the day she can acknowledge the pain that it caused her, because sometimes you can be angry but you don't necessarily acknowledge it, because anger, I've heard this before, is the second emotion. The first emotion is hurt. I hope that she can express the hurt but in a hurtful way. But what I mean by that is, don't just come out there screaming and yelling and da, but in a way where you are close to tears, or if you are crying. Not for him to say, oh, I'm sorry, but for you to give yourself permission to feel that hurt and to acknowledge that hurt, that this is what it did to me. Despite all that, I'm a strong black woman, and I'm so strong and all this and that. I am hurt. It still hurts me. It has knocked me. Just to be honest and to give herself that permission to be that transparent and to be that open with herself, and to forgive him, and for him to talk, and for them to let this go, because I think their children need to see their parents, their growth. They're not the same people that they were when they met each other, when they hurt one another, because he did mention in some Braxton Family Values episodes of how nasty she was to him. Does that make it okay? No, but again, they hurt each other. That they hurt each other. In relationships, I'm not talking about abuse, I'm not talking about anything like that. You're dealing with two imperfect people. I know I love my children. I know my children, they love me. They're babies. But I know that they'll love me. That does not mean we won't hurt each other. That does not mean I won't make a mistake or fail them. We're not perfect, and you can't have a godly expectation on imperfect people. You can have boundaries. You can have expectations in terms of some things you're just not going to accept. That's fine. It's called respecting yourself. But they need to know each other for who they are now and for what they have grown and who they've become. And I think they owe it to each other, Evelyn and her ex-husband, to acknowledge that pain, apologize for that pain, and help live this time in their lives as friends. I'm not talking about come over to the house, we hanging, we doing all this and that, but to walk in love with one another. And I'm telling you, she ain't gonna be able to do that without the help of the Lord. Something like that, you go right ahead and think you could do that by yourself. I just don't think that, I know it's not possible. I know I would have to have every bit of the help of the Lord to do, you're welcome, baby. I would have to have the aid and help of the Lord, because that knocks me to my feet. But again, because of my own life experiences from my childhood and from my just life, the importance of forgiveness and knowing what it will do to you if you don't. And I was saying that I read in a book a while ago, and the author explained that that bitterness had two components to it: blame and guilt. Blame of the party who did something to you, and guilt of your responsibility or your part in that. Like if you're, like with Evelyn, she blames him for the decisions he made with his infidelity, but she may also feel guilty because she may know that she helped or she created an environment that was not enjoyable, we'll say that. And even if he's 75% wrong, not admitting that 25% wrong that you've done creates what she's in right now. And a part of me feel like she still loves her husband. You don't stay angry this long for somebody you don't care about. And I don't blame her. I mean, you had 7 kids. Anybody who, I don't live in that world where the get over it, where people get married, divorce, that person marry another one, etc., etc., and we could just all live in this, we could all go to the house and act as if none of this ever happened. I don't live in that. I just get over my feelings. I'm gonna be married to you as long as I'm this person, and when I grow and develop into somebody else, then you over with, it's done. Like I don't live in that I stay in that society, but I'm not of that society. I'm not of that one. I won't be, and don't look for me there. You won't find me. But I just want Evelyn to tell some truth. And it's not, again, to put blame on anyone or to make her more wrong than him. When you're really trying to heal on some real stuff, you don't care who wrong. You just want to say your truth, let go of whatever responsibilities you have, and letting go and be done with it. Not in a push it under the rug type of way, or not in, when you get tired of holding on to a weight that God never intended for you to hold on to, you'll do whatever you can to get rid of it. If that means forgiving, you'll forgive. If it means loving those who you know don't love you, you'll do it. If it means walking this thing out one step at a time with faith, you'll do that. Because at the end of the day, you trying to get free, and you can't get free holding on to things like that. But I just wanted to give my tidbit of it, and I pray for Evelyn, and I pray for Mr. Braxton and their family, because even though he got remarried, and I'm not talking down about her, she has to talk to God about whatever part she played. She'll never be able to give him what Evelyn gave him, which was those, I believe it's 6 or 7 children total, including her son. That the now wife would never give him what Evelyn gave him, or what God allowed Evelyn to give him. So I believe they are a blessing, but they don't realize how much of a blessing and how much of a anointed family that they are. And you can't see that if you still holding on to things of the past like that. But I pray for them, I do. And anyone that may be going through something like that. It doesn't have to be infidelity. It doesn't have to be a divorce or a spouse or spousal issues. But just with any issues that you know you have carried this weight and it has not done nothing for you but weighed you down. And I pray for people to do the work to get free, basically. Give yourself permission and love yourself enough to not hold on to things like that. But that's my tidbit. I hope y'all was able to follow it. Y'all kids, when I record, my kids are like literally right here. I was opening up a snack for my son. And sometimes they could be quiet and sometimes they could be loud. But that's all in being a mom. Thank y'all for tuning in. And I will see you on my next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The next review I'll be doing is on Bring It. So I'll see y'all later. Bye.